Thanks for joining us at English Podcast, where learning English feels simple and enjoyable.
We share stories, real conversations, and tips to help you grow day by day.
Don't forget to like and subscribe so we can keep creating for you. Have you ever had one of those days where everything seems to go wrong? You know, the kind of day where you spill coffee on your shirt, miss the bus, and then, to top it all off, you lose a shoe? Well, this story is about one of those days, specifically about losing a shoe, but in a rather unusual place.
It happened in a park, a lovely, peaceful park, full of green trees, chirping birds, and ducks. Lots of ducks. Now, ducks are important to this story. They are not just background scenery, they are, shall we say, key witnesses to the event.
Our main character, let's call him Barnaby, was enjoying a relaxing Sunday afternoon stroll through this park. The sun was shining, a gentle breeze was rustling the leaves, a perfect day. Barnaby was feeling quite content, admiring the scenery, completely oblivious to the impending doom.
Impending doom? That sounds a bit dramatic for a lost shoe, don't you think?
Well, maybe, but you'll see. Anyway, Barnaby was walking near the pond, you know, the one where all the ducks hang out. He was so engrossed in watching the ducks waddle and quack that he didn't notice the mud.
Ah, the mud, a crucial element of our story. It wasn't just any mud, it was that thick, sticky, clinging to your shoes kind of mud. The kind that sucks your shoes right off your feet. Like quicksand, but for footwear.
So, there I was, one shoe on, one shoe off, right in the middle of the park. And it wasn't just any park, it was Central Park, full of people enjoying a beautiful Sunday afternoon. I felt my cheeks flush. Flush means to turn red, you know, from embarrassment. I wanted to disappear.
Oh, I can only imagine. That's a nightmare scenario for me. Did anyone notice? Were people staring? I bet you wished the earth would just swallow you whole. That's a phrase we use when we want to escape an embarrassing situation.
You bet. People were definitely staring. Some kids started giggling, which made it even worse. I mean, I'm a grown man, hopping around on one foot like a flamingo.
Oh dear, what did you do next? I'm on the edge of my seat. That's an idiom, by the way. It means I'm very eager to hear what happens next.
Well, my first instinct was to dive into the bushes and retrieve my shoe. But the bushes were thorny. Thorny means covered in sharp points, like little needles. And I wasn't about to risk getting scratched up for a shoe, even a good one.
Good point. So, what was your plan B? You couldn't just hop around Central Park all day, could you?
Exactly. So, I decided to embrace the absurdity of the situation. Absurdity means something ridiculous or illogical. I took a deep breath and started to laugh.
You laughed? At yourself? Wow, that takes guts. Guts means courage or bravery. I don't know if I could have done that.
Well, it was either laugh or cry, and laughing seemed like the better option. Plus, it seemed to disarm the onlookers. Disarm, in this context, means to make people less hostile or judgmental.
That's a great strategy. So, did the laughter help? Did anyone offer assistance, perhaps?
So, to quickly recap what's happened so far in our story. Arthur, our main character, is enjoying a lovely afternoon in the park. He's showing off some, shall we say, enthusiastic dance moves when suddenly, disaster strikes.
Yes, disaster in the form of a flying shoe. 1 minute it's on his foot, the next it's soaring through the air, landing right in the middle of a group of picnicking ducks. Quite the predicament, wouldn't you say?
A predicament indeed. And remember, Arthur is a rather shy fellow. He's mortified, absolutely embarrassed. He's not sure what to do. The ducks, on the other hand, seem quite fascinated by this strange, new object in their midst.
They're probably wondering if it's something tasty. And the picnickers? Well, they've certainly noticed the commotion. Some are giggling, others are staring. Arthur is turning various shades of red. It's a very awkward situation. The word, mortified, means extremely embarrassed or ashamed.
Exactly. Now, up until this point, Arthur's been trying to discreetly retrieve his shoe. He's sort of hopping around, trying to be inconspicuous, but failing miserably. Inconspicuous means not easily noticed or attracting attention, which is definitely not the case here.
Not at all. He's like a one-legged flamingo trying to blend in with a flock of pigeons. It's just not working. He's making the situation even more comical, unintentionally of course. Comical means funny or amusing.
He's becoming the unintentional star of the park's afternoon entertainment. And now, we're about to see how he finally decides to handle this whole shoe debacle. Debacle means a sudden and ignominious failure, a fiasco. Will he succeed in getting his shoe back? Or will the ducks claim it as their own?
Stay tuned to find out. This is where the story really gets interesting. Remember, Arthur is shy, but he's also quite clever. Let's see what he comes up with.
So, there I was, hopping on one foot, my face burning brighter than a tomato. A small crowd had gathered, and their expressions ranged from amusement to pity. I felt like I was in a slapstick comedy, but it wasn't very funny from my perspective. I managed to hobble over to a bench, trying to maintain some semblance of dignity. Dignity, in this case, meaning not falling flat on my face.
Oh, poor you. That image of you hopping to the bench is priceless, though. It must have been quite a sight. It reminds me of the saying, pride goes before a fall, which means something bad will happen to you if you're too confident or proud. It doesn't quite fit here, but it came to mind.
Well, pride was the last thing on my mind at that point. I was more concerned with locating my errant shoe. Errant means straying from the proper course or standards. It's a rather formal word but quite fitting for a shoe that decided to abandon its owner.
It is a very descriptive word choice. So, let's talk about a few of those useful words. We've got semblance, which means an outward appearance, especially one that is misleading. Like, you were trying to maintain a semblance of dignity, even though you probably weren't feeling very dignified.
Exactly. And then there's slapstick, which describes a type of physical comedy, often involving exaggerated movements and pratfalls, like slipping on a banana peel. My situation wasn't quite that extreme, but it certainly felt like it.
Right. And hobble means to walk awkwardly or with difficulty, often because of an injury. You were hobbling because you were missing a shoe.
As I sat on the bench, a little girl, no older than 5, approached me cautiously. She was clutching something small and brown in her hand. My heart leapt. Could it be? She held it out to me shyly. "Is this yours?" she asked, her voice barely above a whisper. It was my shoe, covered in mud, but undeniably mine.
Oh, that's sweet. It's funny how children often have the best intentions and are so helpful in these awkward situations. Let's look at cautiously, which means carefully, so as not to cause harm or danger. She approached you cautiously because she wasn't sure how you would react.
Yes, and her voice was barely above a whisper. A whisper is a soft, quiet way of speaking, almost like a secret. It's the opposite of shouting.
And undeniable means absolutely certain or impossible to deny. Your shoe, even covered in mud, was undeniably yours. There was no mistaking it.
Okay, let's quickly recap the story so far. Remember, this helps your listening comprehension. I tripped over a ridiculously small dog while jogging in the park. It was so unexpected. I went flying. One of my shoes launched into the air and landed right in the middle of a group of pigeons having a picnic, or so it seemed.
And the pigeons, startled by this sudden shoe invasion, scattered everywhere. Feathers flew, breadcrumbs went flying. It was quite the chaotic scene. You were so embarrassed, remember? You described your face as turning as red as a tomato. A very ripe tomato, I might add.
Absolutely mortified. I hopped over to retrieve my shoe, trying to maintain some dignity, which was proving difficult hopping on one foot. Then, a little girl, no older than 5, pointed at me and burst out laughing. That's when things started to change.
Yes, instead of getting even more upset, you decided to embrace the absurdity of the situation. You took a bow, a dramatic, sweeping bow, as if you were a performer and the pigeons and the little girl were your captivated audience. That's where we left off, right?
Exactly. So, I'm standing there, one shoe on, one shoe off, bowing deeply. And then, something amazing happens. The little girl's mother starts clapping. Then a few other park goers join in. Suddenly, I'm getting a round of applause for my accidental comedic performance.
It became this spontaneous moment of shared laughter and joy. Remember how we talked about embracing the moment? This was a perfect example of that. Instead of shrinking from embarrassment, you turned it into a funny, memorable experience for everyone.
And the little girl, she was still giggling, picked up my shoe and presented it to me like I was a king receiving his crown. It was such a sweet, innocent gesture. I took the shoe, slipped it back on, and gave her a thumbs up. Everyone was smiling.
You went from mortified to celebrated in a matter of minutes. And it all started with a rogue shoe and a flock of surprised pigeons. Sometimes, the most embarrassing situations can turn into the best stories, right?
Absolutely. It taught me a valuable lesson about not taking myself too seriously. Sometimes, life throws you a curveball, or in this case, a runaway shoe. It's up to you whether you let it knock you down or turn it into a home run. Thanks for listening to English Boost. Remember, practice a little every day and you'll see big results. See you in the next episode.